Good afternoon, financial professionals, and welcome to this edition of The BREW, Building Relationships Every Week. My name is John Florence, and I'll be your host today. This edition of The BREW is not live, but comes to you pre-recorded, and today we will be focusing on the E4 Insurance Services design team. Why? Because at E4, our mission is to help craft better financial outcomes for your clients. And one of the ways that we do that is by bringing you the expertise and knowledge of a seasoned and professional case design team. These people help to put together the solutions that address your clients' unique needs. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Steve Berge, partner at E4 and Chief Design Officer at the company. Steve, welcome to the show, and tell us a little bit about where you are and what you guys do.
I'm in bright, sunny, snowy Fargo, North Dakota. The E4 design team is what I like to call the people behind the curtain. We provide our RVPs and advisors product fits for proposed financial designs that they're coming up with, that they're uncovering. We like to think of it as a scenario where the RVPs and advisors collect the puzzle pieces, and it's our job to put the pieces together so the advisors can show their clients the ultimate solution.
That's very interesting, Steve. Tell me, how did the role of design team actually develop?
The role itself kind of materialized when E4 Brokerage and ISG merged. When that was all coming together, we identified the need for a focused product support role that would allow our RVPs and advisors to do what they do best. And in our eyes, that's meet with the clients.
So, Steve, are you the design team, or are there actually other people that help you out with this important work?
Right now, the team consists of myself working out of the Fargo location, and then we have Tiffany Armour and Angela Summers, who both work remotely.
I'm Tiffany Armour. I am the internal case design specialist for E4 Insurance.
My name is Angela Summers, and I am a member of the design team. I work with the long-term care related products at E4 Insurance Services.
Welcome to the show, ladies. Steve, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what the people on your team do?
Tiffany typically supports the Wisconsin-based RVPs and advisors. I support the North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, and a lot of the Wirehouse-based RVPs and advisors. And Angela helps cover across the board for support when we're not available, and she again also helps with the Enforce information support.
Do professionals listening to this show call your team directly, or do they work through their wholesaler, or how do they get in touch with a design team?
I would say for the most part, it's typically a lot of the advisor relationships are through the RVP, but that's not to say that we haven't built relationships internally as well. So, whatever they're comfortable with, each situation is a little different. Each relationship is a little different. But we're always available too. If you're not able to get a hold of an RVP, or if you have a question that you feel is best answered by somebody on the case design team as well. We are an open book.
So we have a team of highly professional craftsmen, if you will, that are working to help design solutions for our advisors' clients. What about the tools that they have at their disposal? What's available?
I would say we take great pride in E4's proprietary tools. We've put a lot of work into the pieces themselves. The AIM review is probably our longest standing proprietary piece. I would say we've tailored that over the years. I would say it's probably been in existence that we've been using it now for 15 years and have had great results with it. It's a very robust report and analysis that we put together. It starts out, the advisor identifies, a client that has an in-force policy that they may not be sure what they have, or maybe their needs have changed, or maybe it's a policy that's in trouble. So we initiate the process by requesting the in-force policy information, and that consists of current values, current illustrations to see how the policy is projected to perform. And then we take that and embed it into our report. And then we're able to do a comparison versus available products that are out in the marketplace today to see if there's, a solution out there that better fits their needs currently.
Okay, that's interesting. Tell me about the long-term care analysis tool that you have developed.
The LTC analysis has been very popular. We get a lot of excellent feedback on it, that it's a nice, simple, clean piece that advisors can use with their clients to help explain, what product costs for their particular scenario and compare it to what it would cost for them if they were going to self-insure. And I think that's, a lot of misconceptions fall into that realm when clients think, well, geez, long-term care based products are too expensive. I'll just, if the need arises, I'll just cover it myself. When a lot of the times, I don't think clients understand how common a care occurrence is, much less what it actually costs for them to, to pay for it out of pocket versus, setting up something now with a protection-based product.
Angela, as a member of the team, you are one of the people that is primarily responsible for the generation and all the analysis work that goes into the long-term care analysis report. How did you come about this role and come into this job?
I come from a family where medical issues are sort of have been an issue or an impediment to insurability. My father had COPD, and I worried about his health a lot. Of course, by the time we were looking and thinking about those kinds of things and having those kinds of conversations, it was too late because he was already uninsurable based upon that medical history that had often type 1 diabetic. So there are some, insurability issues there. So I think that, gets me to a place where I really appreciate the role that medical history can play and how important it is to get coverage in place before that medical history happens that can pose an impediment that could either make the person forever uninsurable or, make the rates exponentially more expensive and put it out of reach that way.
It sounds like long-term care has become a really big part of your overall responsibilities, right? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Once upon a time, that was only standalone. The products have evolved, which kind of takes us to the long-term care analysis piece, because I do run the long-term care analyses as well. And what that is, it's kind of because the products have evolved over time, there used to be just standalone long-term care. Then there was, the asset-based, what we term asset-based long-term care, which are the money guard, the ones with the idea of, repositioning an asset. And typically those ones, you can get inflation protection on them. They more closely resemble the long-term care, but they're still life-based. Then from there evolved a ton of what we term living benefits products that are more like a life insurance policy, and that it allows for the acceleration of a specified percentage of the death benefit for long-term care type services. And so as those products have evolved, the choices have become, more complex, and people have more choices. But then the question becomes, how do we choose which one is the best for this person? And so the long-term care analysis is a nice piece to that incorporates the products from the 3 different families and creates a way to compare them in a way based upon internal rate of return and that type of thing. And so it's sort of a no-nonsense comparison format that can really simplify that choice for people.
So we've got a little bit of an acronym soup going on here. We started off with AIM for insurance review. Then we moved to LTC for long-term care. What is AIR? What's AIR? tool?
The AIR is the annuity inspection report. That's another exclusive tool that we offer that helps do a comparison between annuities that a client currently has and compare it to what's currently available in the marketplace. It's an excellent tool to show, if there's an income need, what they currently have versus what they can get with income riders today. Accumulation, it's just yet another good tool I feel that we have that helps illustrate, is what a client has, what a client currently has, is that really fitting their needs currently.
Tiffany, let me turn to you for a moment. We've discussed a couple of the proprietary tools that we've developed in-house at E4 Insurance Services, but you're a really big fan of something called Insight. Tell us a little bit about Insight.
So Insight is great because you plug in your all your different solves, your different information, and then it kind of does all the work for you. So once you choose your different products that you want to put on your spreadsheet, you put everything listed on there, and then there's a little button that says PDF, and the client advisor is able to click on that, and it takes you directly to the illustration. So it's just a nice, clean way to present to the client all these illustrations. Instead of sending out 12 different attachments, you've got one attachment, one spreadsheet with a list of eight different products with the little attachment on there, and you have different columns you can choose to list on there.
And of course, the design team isn't really just all about working with the really specialized tools that you have at your disposal, but you're also keeping tabs on everything that is going on in this really dynamic industry that we're all a part of. Tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that you guys are facing today.
I would say the biggest challenge that I've seen currently is just a matter of keeping quotes current with all the products and rate changes that we've seen as of late. There's been a lot of regulation changes that have come down the pipe between 7702, which we even haven't really seen open up yet amongst the carriers. That's still coming. But AG 49A and some of the rule changes that we've seen on that, as far as how and what we can illustrate, as well as with the low interest rate environment and the kind of the pinch that it's putting on the products and causing carriers to reprice. Just keeping up with that, we've seen products be dropped off. We've seen products be repriced dramatically. All of that can be a job in and of itself to stay on top of.
And Tiffany, you're the newest member of the design team. And prior to coming to E4, you had experience working with another insurance IMO. What's the difference between your experience at E4 and where you were before?
Well, I mean, there's absolutely no comparison. I mean, within a month of being here, I told everyone, I said, wow, I couldn't even believe the difference, the amount of tools, just everything that's available that E4 has. I couldn't even believe it. There's so many things the advisors have out there. There's really no comparison at all. Just the amount of, everything's just very well organized. I always see that even over in the case management side, new business side, everybody just seems to work so well together. And it just seems to, everything is kind of like a well-oiled machine, and all the parts just work well. But as far as the case design side of things, it's just, there's so much more available, so many tools that are available for the advisors.
Thanks for sharing that, Tiffany. Angela, back to you for a moment. Can you think of a recent case that maybe illustrates the value that the design team brings to the advisor that chooses to work with E4 Insurance Services?
there was this interesting case that came up again, because a lot of times a lot of what I do might involve pre-screening to see which long-term care solution might fit the best based upon the client's needs, which it may include medical history. This gal, this advisor had this client, and he knew that she had osteoporosis. It was part of a basic pre-screen. It came out she had osteoporosis, and she wasn't taking anything for it. And I thought, gee, that's a little odd. And so he's like, no, she's not taking anything for it. So I was like, well, okay, let's do this pre-screen. So I reached out to the carrier underwriters, and they said, yeah, based upon the T scores, because we gathered that extra information, they said she may be insurable. We can submit that, but we were prepared for the possibility that she might not be insurable or might be rated or whatever. So we submitted it to 2 different carriers. Middle of the process, she had her telephone history interview, and it came out that she was actively involved in physical therapy. And we were blindsided by that. We were prepared for this stuff with the osteoporosis, but then came this physical therapy. So, there was no clue that was part of the history. So I called up the agent, got some additional information, and had him talk me through, hey, what's going on? What's the scoop here? Why is she in physical therapy? And physical therapy is one of those places where carriers, generally it's an automatic decline. And of course, that's how we had learned she was declined during the telephone history interview by carrier A. And so I got the information on it. Apparently she was super proactive in her health. She read some Australian study where you could actually potentially restore bone density through regimented weight training. So she proceeded to go and interview personal trainers that didn't meet to her satisfaction, because she wanted the person to follow this study, to read the study and apply it to her. And personal trainers, they were not about that. They weren't going to do that. Someone suggested she go to a physical therapist. She said, okay. So she proceeded to interview various physical therapists until she found one to her liking, and then began this program, which again, no doctor ordered it. She just said, I'm going to do this. And so I summarized that information, sent a synopsis to the carrier who had declined her, and they said, no go, doesn't matter. She can quit physical therapy, and then she'll be insurable after X days. Well, again, it was a preventative health thing that the woman was doing. She didn't want to quit. She was doing it. She felt it was beneficial, wanted to continue. I reached out also to the carrier B that she had applied with, and laid out the same scenario and said, she could quit tomorrow. It's not doctor ordered, but she's doing this for her health, to improve her health, and she doesn't want to quit. And they actually ended up taking her. So, it shows how important that medical history is, and how this is what we do. We go back and forth with the agents, we get the information. And in that case, we were able to, by laying out that, look, this is a very non-traditional case. The reason you typically decline physical therapy cases is because it's been doctor ordered. There's some injury or something for which the person has to recover. In this instance, her bone scores, they were satisfactory as they were. She was just doing a preventative to hopefully maybe improve something even better. And so it was not the usual reasoning. And so again, we were able to get her coverage just by asking those questions and digging and presenting that to the carrier. We were able to get a win for her, get her coverage. So that was kind of a recent interesting case and a success story. And I think shows the importance of medical history and the role of what we do too, because without asking those questions, we wouldn't have been able, because she would have been declined by carrier 2 as well. So.
Well, this has been absolutely fantastic and enlightening and educational. And I'm sure we could spend a lot more time learning the intricacies of what you guys do. Before we go, maybe something a little bit more lighthearted. I know we've all been trapped inside this past year or so by the pandemic. But if you're anything like me, you've spent a lot of your free time streaming shows on TV. So give us in 2 quick seconds, what's been your favorite shows?
I would say it's probably a tie. I'm a big Bosch fan on Amazon, and I I also thoroughly enjoy a show called Peaky Blinders on Netflix.
Some of the more girly ones like Bridgerton. We had to watch that. I had to watch that one. But yeah, I love true crime. So I do like to watch a lot of documentary type of stuff. So yeah, I do. I watch a lot of stuff. So if it's on Netflix, I've probably watched it.
We started watching the one, and sometimes I get confused because we watch Netflix, Amazon. We've been watching that one about the Cecil Hotel. I can't remember what. We watched this one. It was called The Governor, and it was this guy who was like this British guy who was engaged in bare knuckle fighting and all these a really interesting program. And the guy was a little nuts. Sorry, I got to head. I got to take my attendance.
Okay, and when we start getting Zoom bombed by family members, we know that it's time to wrap up this edition of The Brew. We thank you so much for your attention and this special program. This will be posted up onto YouTube. We will also do a drawing for anybody that showed up for this to get your CE card as well as your Starbucks gift card. We thank you very much again for coming. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time on The Brew. For E4 Insurance, I'm John Florence.